Greetings, everybody. Today's international travel tip is about money and currency. So we're going live. Let's make sure we're live on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And we're going to be talking about money. That's right. Great. We're live on Instagram, talking about international travel tips, making sure we're live everywhere. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you today? It's a beautiful summer day here. Great. We're live on Facebook and we're live here. We're live everywhere. Great. Wonderful. Okay. Today's topic is money, and this is the sixth in my series of international travel tips, and you can see the other ones down below. So, welcome. Today's topic is on money. So, previously, I did a presentation on budgeting, and that's not what today's about. Today is actually what to do to plan your trip around getting access to money, getting paid, and paying people while you're traveling, and also what to do before your trip to prepare, and then best practices during your trip. So, if you're interested in learning more about international travel, I've got a course and it's on sale right now at 30% off. That's christineelder.com/travel. So, what are we talking about today? Again, we're going to talk about how to prepare for travel in terms of how to get paid and how to pay while you're traveling, especially internationally, because behind possibly like language barriers and safety, money definitely comes right up there at the top of your worries when you're traveling, especially when you're going to go on a long trip potentially, or especially if you're worrying about things like when we had COVID and I knew people that were actually stuck in a country after their vacation because they tested positive for COVID and they had to shelter in place for 2 weeks at a hotel. And, how would you get access to your money then? And so I've got lots of good tips about that. I'm sharing my tips related to travel because, of course, I'm an international traveler. I travel for fun and for work as a guide. And I've been traveling extensively, especially for the last 10 years. So I want to save you guys time and money with my tips. So now, really, redundancy, I'd say, is the key to a safe, happy trip for a lot of aspects for travel preparation, but especially for money. So, first, I'm going to go over some of the pre trip steps or actions I take to get ready for traveling in terms of money, and then actually best practices while we're traveling. Okay, so first, lots of steps for pre-trip preparation. So basically, how to access your money, again, how to get paid and to pay, and how to deal with possible emergencies and delays once you're in a country. So first, you should basically definitely set up online banking. And so you can access your checking account, your savings account, your investments, your credit cards, all of that. And in order to do that, often you might need a VPN or virtual private network so that when you're, using your laptop and dealing with banking issues when you're traveling, that your connection will be safe and secure. So, VPNs, I use ExpressVPN, but there's ones like NordVPN and Surfshark. There's a whole bunch of them that you can install on your computer for not very much money per month, and that'll help you be safe online. And then speaking about banks, make sure you've contacted your bank and told them you're going to be traveling so that your cards work and they don't think that they were stolen. Okay. Now, if you're going to be gone for a long time, like often I'm gone for a month or more at a time for my upcoming trip to Panama, I'll be there 4 months. So you want to be able to set up online bill pay, which is a good practice anyway. So you'd set that up with your bank and have your bills like, your car insurance and health insurance and rent and utilities and phone auto paid, so that you don't have to worry about that. Again, especially if you're gone for over a month or in case of emergency delays. Now, with redundancy, again, you want to have lots of ways to pay and be paid. So, you're going to want to have ATM cards, credit cards, ways to get paid online with various apps. So, in terms of cards, you're going to want to check with your bank to make sure that they're not charging you foreign transaction fees. Most of them do. So, you have to be careful. So, contact your bank and know exactly what you're going to be charged if you try to use a ATM or a credit card, or that is a debit card or an ATM credit card. I'm getting my words mixed up. So a lot of them do. Now, some banks, like online banks like Charles Schwab, I have an account with them, and their debit card does not charge foreign transaction fees. Now, of course, all of this information might be different if you're watching this in the future. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just a traveler. So yeah, make sure you're not getting transaction fees, or if you know you are, know exactly those percentages. So I generally suggest using an ATM at a debit card at an ATM, not your credit card, which can charge exorbitant fees. Um, and have backups. So have at least one extra credit card and one extra ATM card, as well as backup cash. And make sure you're storing those in a different location than, in your wallet with everything else. Because again, redundancy. You don't want to have your wallet stolen and have your entire trip ruined because you have no way to access money. I often will hide these cards and extra cash someplace in a different location than my wallet or my purse, maybe sewn into my luggage, or in a money belt on my body, or in some kind of container like breath fresheners. Generally, I keep extra money in something like this. Oops, falling down. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, several ways to pay. Now, if you're going to a country that has currency that's not the US dollar, which is, of course, most countries, you're going to want to know those exchange rates. And, some countries are quite expensive, like Western Europe, and other countries like in Asia or Central America are quite inexpensive. But it's good to know those exchange rates and kind of memorize those, like knowing how many euros you get per dollar, or how many quetzales, which is the currency in Guatemala. And you can put apps on your phone for that. One that I like is called XE, so that you can instantly have access to knowing what exchange rates are. Now, another thing in terms of exchange rates, or wait, no, that's something during the trip. We're still talking about prepping for the trip. Okay, so again, have backup emergency cash cards, debit cards, credit cards. I've definitely had times happen. Well, just once, my credit card was stolen, or my identity was stolen. So you have to be careful about that kind of thing. Now, another way to have redundancy is consider signing up for a money transfer service. There's many, many of them. One of the most famous ones is Western Union. So you could pre-sign up for that. And whichever one you sign up for, look up where those offices might be located in the location you're traveling to. And perhaps have your next of kin, your partner or somebody sign up for one of those money transfer services as well, so that in emergency they could get you some cash quite quickly. Okay. And then there are a lot of peer-to-peer payment platforms. So you may be familiar with PayPal or Venmo, which I use a lot, both of those a lot when I'm having yard sales. Those are quite common. But there's a million other ones like Remitly and Wise. And then there's like Apple Pay and Google Pay. Now, you should check with the country that you're going to be visiting which one of those work. Again, there's many of them that are specific to particular countries. But even if they don't work in a country, I would still suggest having one of those peer-to-peer payment platforms set up on your phone, like Venmo or PayPal, because you could still exchange funds with other travelers you meet who have that same app if you need to do that. So again, having redundancy is really good for that. Okay, let's see. Now, what else? So you should make sure that you have made copies, photocopies of your credit cards, your debit cards, your ID, like your driver's license, your passport, and have those in the cloud someplace, or photocopies printed in a safe spot, so that you know those numbers, you know the emergency numbers for those apps and cards, and what number to call if your wallet is stolen. Okay. Speaking of wallets, another thing you can do is put a tracker in your wallet in case it gets stolen. You may have heard of trackers for your luggage or even maybe for your pets. Those things like Apple AirTags or Tile is another one that you can get at places like Best Buy. And putting those in your luggage and your wallet so you can at least track them in case they get lost or stolen. Okay, so again, you just want to plan for all types of emergencies and know that those could happen. And if you plan for them, you'll feel safer. Okay, now that we covered some pre-trip steps for getting ready to travel in terms of money, access to it, getting paid and paying people. Other things that you could think about are during trip best practices. All right. So, one thing, of course, is getting cash. Again, you might be needing to get one at an ATM. And it's super important that you go to an ATM that's in a bank in a safe location, not one of those ATMs that's like a tourist ATM at some like mini mart. I had my previous partner's credit card information was stolen at one of those mini marts in Mexico. But be sure, to check those ATMs. Always use one that's in a bank, and during daylight hours, during business hours. So in case it's not working or your card gets eaten or damaged, that you can go in the bank and get some help. Now, you're probably going to use more cash than you think, and need a bigger budget than you think you would. And I did cover budgeting in a previous video. But, bring actually more cash than you think you're going to. And did I mention you can go to your local bank and you can get some cash in your destination currency for before you go. So sometimes that's better than trying to deal with it at the airport at your destination. And sometimes you'll get a better exchange rate, but it's good to have at least a few small bills. And speaking of small bills, it's good to have small bills in both your own currency and in the destination currency, because a lot of times, people are not going to be able to cash a $20 bill or a large bill like one of these. You want small bills for giving tips to people, taxis, that kind of thing. And often, like I said, you're going to be needing more cash than you think, especially in Asia and Africa and Central and South America. Not everybody takes cards. And I got in trouble once because I was, in, I think, Ecuador for over a month. And I just used up all my cash, and I was in kind of remote areas where I couldn't get any more. And so, a lot of times you're going to need more cash than you think. Another tip related to that is never spend your last cash that you have. Here in the States, you might feel like you don't ever have to have more than, a $20 bill in your wallet, because you can always use credit cards and debit cards. But you might be in a more remote area when you're traveling, or it might really take time out of your itinerary to go find a bank. So always, hoard and keep hold of an emergency stash, and don't ever spend your last cash before you can get more at an ATM. Now, when you're in businesses and restaurants, sometimes they'll try to tell you they only take cash, but you might again want to try to stick with cards so you're not using the rest of your cash. And when you are paying at a restaurant or any kind of service, and if they ask you whether you want the exchange rate for the local currency or your home currency, I suggest always saying the local currency, because if you say your home currency, they can kind of do any kind of exchange they want, and it's generally not in your favor. So let's see. Let me see. Make sure we have everything here. Yeah. And then again, lastly, if you do lose your wallet, make sure you have backups in other places for cash and ways to pay. So I think that's everything. And so if you're interested in learning more about travel, I have a lot more resources in my course. It's called Travel Like a Pro, and you can learn more about it on my website at christineelder.com/travel. You can also ask me any questions, maybe in the comments, if there's any below in the platform I'm streaming on now. But my course called Travel Like a Pro, I've been working on it for 3 or 4 years. And each year I improve it based on what I learn from new trips. And right now I'm doing a lot of updates and improvements to it because I'm planning this new trip, international trip. So it's on sale right now at 30% off. I think it's about $87. And it's an online self-paced course, which has very clear-cut units for what to do before and during and even after your trip to have a safe, healthy, fun trip. And it's a course that I'm really proud of. I've worked really hard on. I've got about 47 students in it right now that have really enjoyed it. And if you go check out my website, you'll see some testimonials of students who've taken it. And so it's great for really whatever level you're at, but I really focus on newer travelers, those who haven't traveled at least alone for a long time. In the past, I traveled often with a friend or a partner, and sometimes I was a little bit lazy letting them deal with the itinerary and the flights and the money. But nowadays, the last 5 years, I've been traveling solo, and I've gained all the skills to do that on my own, and more importantly, the confidence. And so that's what I love to impart to my students, is the confidence, which is based on knowledge. And so I teach people everything about the money and the budgeting, like we're talking about today, packing, flights, which I believe I'll be talking about in tomorrow's video. And also, I have really cool interviews with other solo women travelers so that you get other people's perspective of their experiences and their tips from traveling. And The course called Travel Like a Pro also includes lots of useful downloadable handouts that, of course, aren't included in these live free workshops I'm doing. So I've got really comprehensive packing lists. And since I'm a nature journaler and sketcher, and that's one of the main reasons I often travel is to do that and teach, I have a really detailed list for that. I've got templates to help you determine your budget for your trip. I have lots of information on wardrobes, especially if you're trying to do just carry on. And then I have an epic guide and checklist. This is about 11 pages that tells you everything that I do and that I suggest you do to prepare for a big international bucket list trip. Everything from the things we were talking about today that you should set up a month or so in advance to what you should do the morning that you're leaving. So it's basically just checking off. Really, I make it so clearly you don't even have to think. And this is so useful that I print out one of these every time I travel. And I've got little check boxes to make sure that I don't forget anything and I don't really have to even think about it. I just go through this list. So I'm making everything as simple as possible for you. And then, as I suggested before, I often travel for nature sketching and journaling, and I teach that internationally. Like I'll be doing some classes down in Panama next month over the summer. So this is another exclusive benefit inside of my course is my quick start guide to travel journaling so that you got some ideas for how to document your trip so you won't forget about it. So thank you so much for joining me today in our travel tips about money. I hope this has helped you to prepare both during your trip to get ready to pay and be paid, as well as best practices during your trip. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in another video. So adios, arrivederci, sayonara, take care, bye-bye.